Hello, people of YouTube. My name is Steve Gray. I do reviews and other things. Today, we are doing 10 things that you need to know before owning a dog. So, number one, your typical dog lives anywhere between 10 and 13 years. So make sure you are in it in the long haul. Don't be one of those people that are like, oh my god, I want a cute little puppy because you saw a wolf or some crap on Game of Thrones, and then a year into it, you're like, oh no, I can't control this animal because I don't have time to train it and I'm working all the time, and dump it off at some shelter and make it somebody else's problem. If you want a dog, be in it for the long haul. You're there for life. 10 to 13 years of your life, you're going to be loving that dog. That dog is going to be loving you. So if you travel, you move, you do anything, someone's either going to be taking care of that dog or that dog is going to be coming with you because that dog is basically your new child. So, number two, potty training and tricks take patience. So when you get a new puppy, typically you can get a puppy at, I think it's like between 6 and 8 weeks, it could be depending on breed or other factors. Usually they have the first round of shots with them depending on the shelter you get it from. Yes, I said shelter, so no puppy mills. Please do not do puppy mills or PetSmart or any of those other things. Or typically they get their pets from puppy mills. It's not good. It's not fun for the pets. And there are a lot of pets in shelters that need your help. So, potty training, as I said, back to that. When my dog was alive, rest her soul, it took about 3 to 4 weeks to potty train. I recommend, if you can do it and have the ability to, if you have a room or some area that you can seclude that dog off of so it does not pee on like the carpet or rug, because cleaning up pee on a hardwood floor or a tile is a lot easier than cleaning it up, and same with poop, than trying to get it out of your carpet. It is not fun to get it out of your carpet or your furniture. It's not going to be a fun day. So as I said, that takes about 3 to 4 weeks roughly, depending on the dog, depending on that dog's own personality. Another option too is crate training helps. If you get a big crate, make sure you block off most of the crate so that way they only have room to sleep. As they grow, you move like a board or something you put in the cage or crate back slightly further every time they grow, because they will, if given the opportunity, will piss and shit in one end of the crate and sleep in the other. Because obviously, if you can only sleep in that area, you're not going to pee and shit where you can only sleep. Alright, number three, you should walk and run your dog at least 30 minutes every day. For more energetic breeds, you might have to be out there for an hour, hour and a half or so, depending on how much time you have, or you can always get a dog walker if needed, or somebody else, another family member, to walk and run your dog. Some dogs, smaller dogs typically, do not like to run as much. They get tired out quicker because their legs are a lot smaller than yours, but bigger breeds like hound dogs, Great Danes, Labs, etc., they love running and they want to run. So, I mean, make them happy. Run with them. Get some exercise in the process and you'll be good to go. Number four, if treated and raised right with love, they will love you and everyone forever. I'm sick and tired of hearing people complain about pit bulls. Oh, they're bad, blah, blah, blah. If you watch one episode, literally any episode of Pit Bulls and Parolees, you will realize that is not true. Um, Dogs will pretty much do what their trainers ask of them. So that's why if there is dog fighting, etc., if a dog is violent, it's typically because they were trained in that way. But if you have a pit bull or any other breed, doesn't matter, that you adopt from a shelter or get somewhere else. If you treat them with love and train them with love, as they'll be perfectly fine and there'll be no issues with that dog. I got a friend of mine that currently has a pit bull, and he is just the most lovable, annoying little dog ever. He's not really little, but I call him little because he's still a puppy. But he will get up on you, and he just always knows where your crotch is. I thought that would be kind of funny to put in there. But yeah, no, he just always wants to be on your lap and be petted and loved and played with, but he just seems to always find your crotch. Alright, so 5. Typically, there's going to be one person in the family that the dog likes better than the rest of the family. So it's typically going to be the person that feeds the dog, walks the dogs, picks up their poop, plays with them, teaches them tricks, etc. Or it could just be somebody that pets them and gives them lots of treats. That's also a possibility. But certain dog breeds, they're typically like a German Shepherd is typically really loyal and really close to one member of the family. As I said, yet again, that's typically the person that takes care of them the most. Other dogs, like a golden retriever or a lab, most of the time they're just happy to see anybody that comes in the door. As long as you train them right, they'll just love everybody and go right up to them and want to be petted like a normal, lovable, fluffy dog. All right, six. So different breeds have different health problems, unfortunately. So this kind of goes back to me saying, make sure you get a dog adopted from a shelter, because typically mixed breeds in most cases don't have the problems that purebreds do. So people want something like a German Shepherd, so they constantly breed it and breed it and breed it, and unfortunately, inbreeding happens more often than not in a lot of these puppy mills. So, like as I said with the German Shepherd, typically they have hip problems. There's part of the bone that connects into the hip from the leg bone to the hip bone. Typically, there's a pocket that is deformed, where the leg bone itself gets deformed at a certain point, and you're either going to need surgery to correct it when they're a puppy, and theoretically they shouldn't have any problems, or if you don't opt for that surgery, the older they get, the more problems they're going to have, and they're going to get to a point where they literally will not be able to use their back legs at all to walk, and it just sucks really, really hard. Also, small dogs like pugs and others of that kind of genre that have the pushed in squish faces, they typically have breathing problems because of the way they are bred, because the type of breed they are, because their nose is squished as much as it is. They typically get respiratory problems, respiratory infections, etc. So, which is why I keep saying buy a mutt, because if you have a mixed breed, there's less chances that you're going to have these medical problems. Because if you have different species, like a lab and a husky mix or something like that, there is a chance that they might have both problems from both breeds, but there's a higher chance that because they are different breeds, that the problems will not breed down to them. So, number 7. A lot of dogs and cats that need good homes are in shelters. I've been saying this throughout the entire video. I've been also, just as I just previously said, mixed animals typically have less health problems. I would highly recommend adopting. You can get puppies, or if you want something older that's a little bit more mature, because puppies typically love to play and bite and chew and all that, etc. They're a lot of work. You can get a 1 to 2 year old dog that is well mannered. Maybe the owner passed away. Maybe it was an older person. You don't really know. Some people just drop them off because they have a kid, don't want to take care of them or whatever. Yet again, as I said, please stay with the dog for the long haul. But it doesn't happen to everyone. Certain circumstances do happen where they have to go to a shelter. As I said, I don't like it. It kind of sucks. But if you get a dog from a shelter, they will pretty much love you forever, because they see you as their rescuer or your hero. When you first get them, they're like, okay, I've been in this crate with this concrete floor in a bed with like 20 other dogs for like a year and a half, and now this person comes to me with this huge backyard and all this love and attention, and I can get it whenever I want. So that they typically love you for life when you get them out of a shelter. On the other side note, with the shelter, if the dog is older and the dog was trained for fighting, etc., or if the dog was abused, they're going to take a lot more work. So, depending on what your level of comfort is with training and working with a dog, if you have a good level of comfort with a dog that might have been abused or whatever, and you just want to love that dog because you like that dog, go for it. But if you're kind of nervous about having a dog that might have used to been like a fighting dog, or was abused and is going to have issues, then I would recommend going for like a puppy or something like that, because typically they haven't been alive long enough to be abused and have those emotional problems. All right, number 8. So different breeds of dogs are better than others at certain things. So, such as a German Shepherd, typically good for law enforcement. A Hound Dog, typically good for sniffing out drugs and other things. I got a friend of mine that has, I think it's called a Blue Tick Hound. Her name is Mickey, and she's adorable. And when you give her an inch, she takes a mile. You let her off the leash, she will find a groundhog or anything and go after it and kill it immediately and eat it, because those are just kind of how certain dogs' instincts are, to go hunt and do what they got to do, because that's what that breed was meant for. Something like labs. Labs typically like to swim, as do huskies usually like to swim. Huskies also typically like a colder climate, so preferably keep your dog inside in the summer, especially if it's one of those big fluffy dogs, and get some AC cranked, or at least a box fan or something going, so that way they got somewhere to stay and cool off, because they can get overheated very, very easily. Alright, number 9. Small dogs typically live longer than larger dogs. I'm not exactly sure why this is. There's probably a science behind it. But if you have something like a Great Dane, those big dogs. They're lovable couch potatoes, and they think they're lap dogs, even though they're usually bigger than you are. They unfortunately only live around 10 years. It'll be a good 10 years, pretty much the entire time. But if you're looking for a dog that lives longer and doesn't take up as much space, you're going to want something smaller. And a small dog, something like a pug. I know that, and I think it's called a miniature pinscher. My cousin has one of those. They can live up to like probably 13, 14 years if they don't run into any major health issues along the way. Um, that's up to you. If you like big dogs are your thing. If you like small dogs are your thing. So then, obviously, you can get like a medium-sized dog, like a lab. That's somewhere in the middle. That's up to you. All right, number 10. I was kind of dreading this one, but with all animals, death is kind of inevitable. Everything dies, and it just kind of sucks because you have this loving creature in your life for bare minimum 10 years, unless they, God forbid, run into some sort of health problem and you have to put them down, which has happened to friends of mine in the past. It's not fun. It sucks. But it does. It sucks. It's one of those situations where I think it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. Especially when you have your first dog or first cat, that animal pretty much sets the grounds for every other animal of that breed that you're gonna get for the rest of your life. You're always gonna end up comparing it to that animal, and nothing is gonna replace it. And with death, like anything, it takes time to process it. Takes time to heal. You may not ever want to get another dog again, but I would recommend maybe wait a year. I mean, maybe you gotta wait 2 years, whatever it takes to get back into the mentality that you want this loving animal wagging its tail or meowing at you or rolling at you if it's a hedgehog or squawking at you because it's a bird. Whatever animal you choose to own, they'll be happy and they love you if you treat them right. And there's never really any major problems as long as you train them correctly and treat them right. And if you need help for training videos, there's millions of them on YouTube, so just search up dog training or cat training or whatever other animal you have for training videos. My dog, Zoe, I unfortunately lost her about 2 years ago. It was in May. I think it was Memorial Day weekend, if I'm getting the right holiday in there. I apologize to veterans if I'm not. But no, we had her for 11 years. We found out, unfortunately, when she was 10 or so, I think it was 9 or 10, that she had a tumor. We got a couple more good years of her after we kept treating her with steroids to kind of keep the tumor at bay, but unfortunately it just kind of took over, and life happens. It's sad, it sucks, but I mean, just coming home to a dog, you just kind of have the happy memories. You know, you come home, you got that wagging tail, maybe they lick your hands, they jump on you, depending on if you want to train them to stop doing that or not. That's up to you. But they're just lovable little creatures. They want nothing but love. They want nothing but to love you, and that's pretty much it. Dogs, cats, pretty much all animals are awesome, except flies and mosquitoes, because everybody hates those little guys. Yet again, my name is Steve Gray. This has been a 10 Things video. Remember to like and subscribe if you want me to do another 10 Things video, or if you want me to review anything in particular, leave me a comment down below in the box. You know what to do. Have a good one.